Hello, I'm Alex Hare, and I welcome you to Australian Archives, a program of musical items featuring Australian artists of note and taken from the archives. And why don't we begin this edition of Australian Archives with Frank Coughlin and his Trocadero Orchestra, and a feature Radio 78 he made in mid-1937.
Don't mean a thing if it ain't get that thing. Don't mean a thing, all you gotta do is sing. Makes no difference if it's sweet or hot. Just keep that rhythm, give it everything you got. Oh, don't mean a thing if it ain't got that swing.
I'm at heaven's door in Amarada. Want you more and more in Amarada. You're a symphony, a very beautiful sonata, my Amarada. Say that you're my sweetheart, my love. very beautiful sonata, my inamorata, say that you're my sweetheart, my love.
A tune that was popularised, of course, by the late Dean Martin. Johnny Wade there with the cover version with George Trever's orchestra, recording in Sydney for the Diaphon 45 label in 1956, Inamorata. And the program commenced with Frank Coghlan and the Trocadero Orchestra, vocal by Barbara James, on a feature radio 78 from July 1937, and Duke Ellington's It Don't Mean a Thing If It Ain't Got That Swing. Now to the Regal Zonophone label. In November of 1937, Dudley Cantrell and the Grace Grenadiers, Harlem Heat.
Please don't be offended if I preach to you a while. Tears are out of place in eyes that were meant to smile. There's a way to make your very biggest trouble small. Here's the happy secret of it all. Look for the silver line whene'er a cloud appears in the blue. Remember somewhere the sun is shining, So the right thing to do is make it shine for you, a heart full of joy and gladness will always banish sadness and strife. So always look for the silver lining and try to find the sunny side of life. A heart full of joy and gladness will always banish sadness and strife. So always look for the silver lining and try to find the sunny side of life. Find the sunny side of life.
Jimmy Parkinson with Geoff Harvey and the orchestra, recorded in early 1962, and from the show Sally, Look for the Silver Lining. And before, we heard Dudley Cantrell and the Grace Grenadiers from 1937, Harlem Heat. And your program is Australian Archives. Here's Gus Mersey now from an old Manhattan LP, recorded in January 1953, and it's the standard Tea for Two.
days of Bonnie,
the banks of Loch Lomond,
where
down through the
early
Rhine,
falls the dew,
on the blue belts of Scotland,
and 'twas there
I love the lassie,
that Annie Laurie
when the Campbells are coming,
heed me
in the Highlands,
her promise.
you take the high road and we'll take the low.
Yes, she promised she'd go swinging through the ride.
With the wee Dr. Doris,
When she did, she made old Scotland swing on high.
holy hi,
And for Bonnie,
Bonnie Mary Almagal,
no Bonnie and Dory,
the fifth the promise true,
I would lay me doing a thing. Ho 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 de ho ho. Ho ho ho, the Campbells are coming.
ho 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 ho,
The Campbells are coming. The Campbells are coming.
ho 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 ho,
But they'll never, while there's heather, swing like Annie Laurie through the ride.
Jim Davidson and his ABC dance band. The vocalist was Alice Smith, and that arrangement of Annie Laurie by George Trevere. And Jim recorded that for the Regal Zonophone label at Homebush Studios on the 2nd of June 1938, and before that it was Gus Mersey and that old standard T for Two from January 1953. And now here's Neil Williams with Geoff Harvey's orchestra once more in our program, and from State Fair, recording made in early 1963 by Neil, It's a Grand Night for Singing.
It's a grand night for singing, the moon is flying high, and somewhere a bird who is bound he'll be heard is throwing his heart at the sky. It's a grand night for singing, the stars are bright above, the earth is aglow, and to add to the show, I think I am falling in love, falling in love. Maybe it's more than the moon, maybe it's more than the birds, maybe it's more than the sight of the night in a light too lovely for words. Maybe it's more than the earth, shiny and silvery blue. Maybe the reason I'm feeling this way has something to do with you. It's a grand night for singing, the moon is flying high, and somewhere a bird who is bound he'll be heard is throwing his heart at the sky. It's a grand night for singing, the stars are bright above, the earth is aglow, and to add to the show, I think I am falling in love, falling in love.
I would gather stars out of the blue,
Out where the blue begins,
for you,
little gal,
for you.
only for you, just you,
I'd make a string of furs out of the dew,
here in the early morn.
for you,
Believe it, beloved,
for you.
wonderful you,
Over the byway and over the street, sweet scented roses I'd lay at your feet. There is nothing in this world I wouldn't do
nothing in the whole wide world,
for you,
baby, what I wouldn't do.
for you.
this world I wouldn't do for you, for you. Oh, there's nothing I wouldn't do for you.
For You, Nothing I Wouldn't Do, and that was Ray Dixon with Lou Topano's music, and that tune, of course, written by Al Dubin and Johnny Burke. Very nice too. They recorded that one here in Melbourne in September 1953, and before that a recording made up in Sydney in January or early 1963 at least, Neil Williams and Geoff Harvey's orchestra. It's a grand night for singing from State Fair. And we bring this edition of Australian Archives to a close with a recording made here in Melbourne for the Old Planet label. In 1956, Vic West is the vocalist, and Bruce Clark and his music provide a fine backing on Cole Porter's Begin the Begin.
When they begin the begin, brings back the sound of music so tender. It brings back a night of tropical splendor. It brings back a memory evergreen. I'm with you once more under the stars, and down by the shore an orchestra's playing, and even the palms seem to be swaying when they begin the begin. To live it again is past all endeavor, except when that tune clutches my heart. And here we are, swearing to love forever, and promising never, never to part. What moments divine, what rapture serene. Two clouds come along to disperse the joys we had tasted. And now when I hear people curse the chance that was wasted, I know but too well what they mean. Oh yes, let them begin, begin. Let the love that was once a fire remain an ember. Let it sleep like the dead desire I only remember. When they begin, begin. So don't let them begin to begin, make them play till the stars that were there before return above you, till you whisper to me once more, darling, I love you. Then we suddenly know what heaven we're in, when they begin the begin, when they begin the begin.
Cole Porter's Begin the Begin. Vic West with Bruce Clark and his music, bringing to a close this edition of Australian Archives. Australian Archives was conceived, prepared and produced by Alex Hare for Golden Days Radio. Thanks for listening, and bye for now.